Near the Great Pyramids of Giza, archaeologists found a cemetery, not for pharaohs, for workers. They were buried in real tombs, with real honors, right next to the pyramids they built. That's not how you treat slaves. For centuries, that's exactly what history class taught you the pyramid builders were. It's wrong. And it's not the only thing wrong. Your history teacher probably didn't lie to you on purpose. They were taught the same myths you were, repeated so many times, for so many generations, that they just became fact. Some of what's coming will genuinely surprise you. So let's start with the pyramids and work from there. The idea that thousands of enslaved people built the pyramids is one of history's most stubborn myths. It comes mostly from one source, a Greek historian named Herodotus. He claimed 100,000 men labored for 20 years on the Great Pyramid. One problem: he wrote that, over 2,000 years after the pyramids were finished, he was reporting ancient rumors, not eyewitness fact. Since the 1990s, archaeologists have found something very different. Tombs for the workers, right next to the sacred pyramids themselves, an honor that would have been unthinkable for enslaved people. They also found an entire lost city built for these workers, barracks, bakeries, even medical facilities. Skeletons show brutal physical strain, arthritis, back damage, but also evidence of medical care for those exact injuries. Animal bones show a diet rich in meat, daily rations of bread and beer. Workers even left graffiti behind, naming their own crews. The Friends of Khufu, the drunkards of Menkaure, those aren't the markings of an oppressed population. The real builders were mostly paid laborers, along with farmers rotating through during flood season, working off taxes through labor, a national project, not a slave camp. Next, the idea that medieval people believed the earth was flat, that Columbus had to prove otherwise. This one is almost entirely fiction. Educated people knew the earth was round for over 2,000 years before Columbus. The ancient Greeks worked this out by the 5th century BC. Aristotle pointed to something specific: lunar eclipses. Earth's shadow on the moon during an eclipse is always curved. That only happens if the earth itself is a sphere. He also noticed something about ships. Their hulls vanish over the horizon before their masts do. That doesn't happen on a flat surface. Around 240 BC, a mathematician named Eratosthenes went even further. He calculated the entire circumference of the planet using a stick, a shadow, and basic geometry. His result was off by less than 2% from the real number. None of this knowledge was ever lost either. Medieval scholars kept referencing a spherical Earth throughout the Middle Ages. The flat Earth myth is largely a 19th century invention, designed to make earlier centuries look more ignorant than they were. Next, Cleopatra. Ask most people, and they'll picture an Egyptian queen. She wasn't ethnically Egyptian, she was Greek. Cleopatra descended from Ptolemy I, one of Alexander the Great's own Macedonian generals. After Alexander died, Ptolemy took control of Egypt in 305 BC. His descendants ruled for nearly 300 years, keeping their Greek language and culture the entire time. They even married within the family to preserve their bloodline. Surviving coins and busts, approved by Cleopatra herself, show a Greek woman, but she was politically brilliant. She was the first of her entire dynasty to actually learn the Egyptian language. She presented herself to her subjects as the living reincarnation of Isis, a calculated political move that secured her people's loyalty. She ruled as an Egyptian queen, her ancestry traced back to Macedonia the entire time. Next, the so-called Dark Ages, 1,000 years supposedly of stagnation and violence. Most historians today reject that framing entirely. The label started with a 14th century scholar named Petrarch. He compared his own era unfavorably to ancient Rome. Enlightenment thinkers later reused the term to flatter themselves, but the actual Middle Ages were full of innovation. The heavy-wheeled plow transformed farming across northern Europe. The horse collar let animals pull far heavier loads. Water mills and windmills spread widely, harnessing natural power at scale. The first universities were founded: Bologna, Paris, Oxford. Monks spent centuries copying and preserving ancient Greek and Roman texts. Without them, that knowledge might not have survived at all. And Gothic cathedrals stand as genuine engineering achievements. Even now, hard times existed, real ones, but calling an entire millennium dark erases everything that was actually built. Next, the claim that people in the ancient world just died at 30, that a 35-year-old was practically elderly. This is a misunderstanding of what average life expectancy actually measures. The real culprit was infant and child mortality. In many pre-modern societies, a third to half of children died before adulthood. When that many people die at age 0, 1, or 2, it drags the entire average down hard. But if you survive childhood, the picture changes completely. Someone who reached adolescence could often expect to live into their 40s or 50s. Someone who made it to 40 had a real chance at another 15 to 20 years. Life still carried real danger: infection, childbirth, war, but the world was full of people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. The real challenge was surviving childhood first. Next, the claim that the Great Wall of China is visible from the moon. Astronauts have repeatedly confirmed this is false. The moon sits roughly 239,000 miles away. Seeing the wall from there would be like spotting a single human hair from 2 miles off. Even the downgraded version, visible from space, mostly doesn't hold up either. The wall is incredibly long, but only about 13 to 16 feet wide in most places. It's also built from local materials, which means it blends into the surrounding landscape's color and texture. Astronauts say cities, highways, and airports are far easier to spot from orbit. China's own first astronaut, Yang Liwei, confirmed he couldn't see it himself. The myth predates spaceflight entirely. It just stuck around because it was too good a story to give up. Last one, the Roman salute, arms straight out, palm down. You've seen it in every movie about ancient Rome. There's no solid historical evidence Romans ever actually did this. Roman art shows plenty of raised arms, bent elbows, open palms, all different. None of them consistently match the stiff, straight arm gesture we picture. So where did it actually come from? An 18th century French painter named Jacques Louis David. He invented it for a 1784 painting, The Oath of the Horatii. 3 Roman brothers, arms outstretched, for dramatic effect. That image became a symbol during the French Revolution, later adopted in America as the original Pledge of Allegiance salute. It wasn't until the 20th century that fascist Italy and then Nazi Germany adopted the gesture, falsely branding it an authentic link to Roman power. A modern invention projected backward onto an ancient world that never used it. 7 things taught as fact that turn out to be closer to myth: the pyramids, the flat earth, Cleopatra's ancestry, the Dark Ages, life expectancy, the Great Wall, the Roman salute. None of these were deliberate lies, just centuries of retelling until the story became easier to believe than the truth. The real history, almost every time, turns out to be more interesting than the myth. Which of these actually surprised you? Let me know in the comments. If you want more of history's actual story, subscribe. There's a new one every week.